Hello, welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Today, I want to look at something that's probably been featured on just about every Elvis YouTube channel there is, or certainly the majority of them. And it's been featured for good reason. It's been featured because I think it's probably, arguably, the best Elvis CD box set ever released, potentially ever to be released. Certainly the biggest, the most comprehensive, the best sounding. So while part of me has always tried, if I can, to avoid covering the same ground that's been done before, and I do, if possible, try and show something that maybe hasn't been shown before, you know, with something like this, that's just not possible. You can't not talk about the Elvis Presley Album Collection 60 CD box set. You just can't. It's that good. I featured a 50 CD box set earlier in the year. I'll put a link in the channel if anyone hasn't watched that and wants to see it. And that was called the original Elvis Presley collection, and that was 50 CDs. A comprehensive suite for sure. Let me think, is there anything? I think this is the biggest at 60. I don't think there's a bigger CD box set in existence ever than this one. There were a couple of 30 CD box sets that came out, but they didn't present a comprehensive overview of Elvis's recorded output. They were bits and pieces put together. There was one that came out after the 50 CD set in a model of Graceland, but again, that didn't have 60 CDs. So, you know, this one does it bigger, and I would argue, and most would argue, better than anything else that's ever been produced. So it would, you know, it makes sense to talk about this. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and talk about it in the context of what it does better than others, and I'm going to suggest a few things that potentially I think it could have improved on. And that's not knocking it, it's superb. So, the 60 album collection came out 2016. So, it was issued to celebrate 50 years of Elvis but producing his first album for RCA, so 50 years later. They produce a comprehensive overview of his album output. In terms of comparing this to the 50 CD collection, the advantages that this has is, one, for a start, I can do this with it and I can fit it easily onto a shelf. Can't do that with the other big one. The other thing really is that the other set, although it was great to have the double features included in there, you know, they weren't actual Elvis albums, so they were amalgams of a series that was put together. Whereas what this does, it actually produces the albums as they were, or as close to as they were. The other advantage this has is that you do get a really nice little book with it, nice heavyweight hardback book. And what that book does is give you an overview of track listings for each album. It is pretty lavishly illustrated. When you get to the back, you get yourself a detailed look at all the sessions. So each session's broken down. And then you get listings of all the singles that were released during Elvis's lifetime, and it finishes with listings of all the EPs. The singles don't all show the sleeves, but the EPs do. So it's a shame they couldn't really have fitted in the same for the singles, just to make it really comprehensive, but a great little book. I think probably its only drawback to me, it does start with an essay. And it's an essay by John Jackson, who apparently graduated from Indiana University in '97 with the world's first Bachelor of Arts degree in rock and roll history. He delivered a thesis on the life and cultural impact of Elvis Presley, and he's a touring member of the Minneapolis-based group, the Jayhawks. Well, okay, but to my mind, the essay isn't very good. It's not very insightful. You know, if this guy produced a thesis on it, I'm sorry, John Jackson, but I hope this isn't representative of your thesis. I just found it. If I was the company, you know, I'd have got a real Elvis expert. You know, someone like Gordon Minto, Goralnik, someone. I think with the heft of this set and what it was trying to do, celebrate those 50 years and put everything together, I'd have paid a bit more money to get someone get a better essay in it. But you know, that's the only gripe I have, other than when you see each record, you get the catalogue number and then it tells you when it was released. So November the 13th, 1959 is your release date for Gold Records Volume 2. But there are some releases. Here we go, look, Girl Happy. So you've got your catalogue number, released March 1965. Now, are they trying to tell us that they're the official record company? All right, they're not the original. RCA was bought out by, was it BMG, that then became Sony BMG, and now it's just Sony. So there's been some shifting of the corporate machine along the way, but ultimately they bought out RCA. They have all their records. So are they trying to tell us they don't know what day that came out on? I find that staggeringly hard to believe. There's a few in here that are just listed, How Great Thou Art, released February 1967. So for the majority of time, they're giving us the date that it was released, but quite a few, they just put the month, and I find that a bit weird. Surely they know that information. Again, that is really splitting hairs and being picky, but overall, fantastic. What a great companion, especially if you compare this to the companion that you got with that 50 album set, which was just a soft cover and you know, nowhere near as lavish as this. So 4 marks they get for me there. Now, the albums themselves, presented in chronological order, and as you can see, lovely colourful spines in the main, replicating the US covers. Now, what's nice about this is you do get a sheet of the original hype stickers that would have been on the albums. And the collector in me, probably like the collector in a lot of you, thought, well, I want to keep that as it is. But then the other half of me wanted to put the stickers on the covers so that they would look like they did when they, you know, to be even more accurate representations of when they came out. So, full confession, when I got the first copy of this, the box was damaged. I think one of the corners was quite heavily compressed in. So I thought, well, I'm not having that, not for the price this was. I mean, I want to say I paid around about £150–60 for this at the time. It was new and sealed. And it did come with its own hype sticker, actually, which I didn't. So on the lid, I've got the hype sticker because I couldn't think of anywhere else to put it. There you go. Did I say 50th anniversary? I did, didn't I? Oops. 60th anniversary. Clunker. So, yeah. Here we go. 60th anniversary, 60 CDs. So that kind of, you know, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? 60 years, 60 CDs. So I kind of see the route they took. So ignore the 50. Well, you know it's not the first time that I've messed up calculations like that, and it certainly won't be the last. So what do we say? Features all of the albums RCA released during his lifetime. Not strictly true. Studio, soundtrack and live. also includes compilations that featured unreleased songs or songs new to LP format. So that's the bit that's not true, because they're not all there, as we shall see, and as you probably know already. Includes restored original sleeves, RCA Victor inserts, stickers and more. 300-page deluxe, fully illustrated hardcover book with insightful commentary, discography and session data. I'd argue with this insightful commentary, but a small point. So yeah, that was the sticker. Anyway, the original version I got had a crushed in corner. So I was a bit naughty and I thought, well, I'm sending it back, getting a replacement. They're going to, if they resell the one that I'm sending back, they're going to resell it as damaged. They're not going to charge full price. So I kept the sticker sheet. So I've got the sticker sheet. I've got the sticker sheet still intact, and I also have them on the sleeves. So very naughty there, but hey ho. Right, so there we go. There are 60, and let's start. Now the thing that's worth pointing out, and the other advantage that this has over the 50 CD original Elvis Presley collection, is that as good as the sound was on the majority of those, it's nowhere near as good as this, because this uses the 2007 Vic Anasini masters that were used on the complete masters, full expensive set, and the Franklin Mint set. So this sounds as good as CDs have ever sounded of Elvis. You know, I think it's reasonably fair to say that they sound pretty much as good as the original vinyl, as close as the original vinyl as possible. And I think even from the 2007 masters, there was some extra work done on these to repair a few things or make them a bit better. So this is like the gold standard of, you know, Elvis's back catalogue, or his back catalogue of, let's call it the canon, the material that was released during his lifetime. So if we take out 1254, the first album, what we'll see is, as near as darn it, faithful reproduction of the sleeve, nice heavy card, reproduction of the rear sleeve. What's that at the bottom? Yeah, I mean, really, really nicely done. And what's another real nice touch is that each one, the actual disc, uses the label or a replica of the label of that release at the time. So I think the attention to detail is second to none. It's really, really good. I mean, what a way to have his entire catalogue sort of laid out. It just does it really well. And when you first open this, and I know it's been out a while now, and I don't actually think it's in print anymore. I think if anyone doesn't have it and wants to get hold of it, you probably are looking at going onto the second-hand market. But just the faithful reproductions of the sleeves, when you first open it and you start looking at them, that's pretty awesome in itself. There we go. But it gets better and better, because when you get to the first sort of gatefold sleeve, album number 4, the Christmas album, you get the faithful reproduction of the sleeve, but then you get a reproduction of the little booklet that came in the original release. You know, that kind of attention to detail, certainly, you know, that's another advantage that this has over that 50 CD set, is you didn't even really get the original sleeves on that. They were chopped down and sort of only filled up a bit of the front of the cover, but they weren't, you know, this is a fitting celebration of 60 years for sure. It's so well done. And, you know, it just goes on and on and on. The attention to detail. So where were we? Number 4? actually, is that listed? Yeah. Let's get to a date with Elvis. There we go. So original replica of the sleeve. Has it got the date he was going to be released? Due to be released from the army circled, of course it has. And then you get the original inner sleeve. Just fantastic. And then Elvis is back. Utterly brilliant. But it gets even better, because when you get into some of the albums that came with bonus photos, and I want to say, did this one? Oh, what I'll do is I'll show you what the stickers look like as well. So let's get GI Blues out. I think that's one of the first ones with a hype on. And, you know, there's your hype sticker that came on the original pressings of the album. And as I say, I didn't want to break up that little contact sheet, but I also wanted them on there because, you know, they've gone to such trouble to make replicas of the original sleeves that why not put those hype stickers on there and make them look as accurate as possible. That was my thinking anyway. But let's look at one of the ones that came with a bonus photo, and I'm trying to think of one of the first ones that did it happen at the World's Fair, have one or not? Yeah, it did. Girls. So it happened at the World's Fair. Came originally with a bonus photo in it in the US. And when we go to get your CD out, which at this stage is still on the back label, you get a replica of the bonus photo and card that came with the original release. And probably looking at the, is that around, I think that's around about an accurate size representation of what the original would have been like as well. And you know, it's even such a good fine way to do things. This is awesome. Let's get to something like Aloha. So we'll jump forward to Aloha. And you see what we've got there is the original quadra disc sticker and the sticker that came on with the track titles on. So I've put those on there. But what's fantastic is not only do you get the replica of the sleeve and the inner gatefold, but on this one it's got the same cutout, and you get this, you know, the replica of the sleeve that the original came in. That rather dodgy superimposed photograph on the back, but you know, with the cutout. And of course, by the time we get, that's not going to go in. By the time we get to this stage, we're on we've got a quadra disc release, so we get the quadra disc label. Now, is that not the most brilliant attention to detail? And of course, by this stage, we are in the Orange Victor releases. So Orange Victor, even got the Dynaflex on it. And even further than that, when we get to the Camdens, so we should be looking at, let's have a look at Flaming Star. So we get to the Camdens, and that's interesting. That's kind of on a tan more than an orange. Wasn't expecting that. I know the original, when it came out in Singer stores, had an RCA Victor, but then it was put out on Camden, so I wasn't expecting that. Let's get to another Camden. Let's go to Let's Be Friends, shall we? Let's Be Friends. Replica of the sleeve. And RCA Camden label. Absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. Now, 60 CDs, and what they did at the end, they put in 3 CDs that were, what do they call them, from the vaults. So you get from the vaults 50s with material that wasn't on albums or different takes or what have you. From the vaults 60s. And from the vault 70s. And what label do they give us on these? Gone with orange, black. The other one loved black as well. So it's kind of with these that I have an issue, because although this is a pretty comprehensive overview and representation of Elvis's album releases during his lifetime, what they did with some of them is, like, Separate Ways isn't in here, and Burning Love and hits of his movies. All right, the first Elvis sings hits from his movies with the pink cover isn't in here as well, but I think most, you know, you could live without that one. But Burning Love, bearing in mind it had Burning Love on it for a start, should have really been in here. So should Separate Ways. And you know, the overwriting of Elvis's history that's been going on for some time and still goes on in official sources. We don't get Elvis in concert. Now, I know that was released slightly after he died, but it's like a final coda to that career, and it was planned to be released while he was still alive. So to me, that should be in here. So what I would have done personally, because what they did do with tracks, so Separate Ways itself, Burning Love, they've put them as bonus songs at the end of some of the CDs. Some of the stuff that they wasn't on the original releases, they've kind of put as bonus tracks. Now, there's nothing wrong with that per se, let's face it. Bonus songs were being put on Elvis's albums from, you know, as early as really the 60s onwards. But I think the only thing I probably would have done to make it a little bit more cohesive, a little bit more of a, so you could say this is the definitive, I'd have put Separate Ways in there, I'd have put Burning Love in there, and I'd put Elvis in concert, and I would have, so they could still, you know, they could still stick to the 60 years. They don't want, you know, they don't want an odd number, and they certainly want to balance that 60. But that's what I'd have done. I'd have done it that way, just to be a bit more representative. But, you know, again, that's a little gripe, and it only is a little gripe. The other thing that I would have done differently, because when you open it up, you're looking at all Elvis's records. I really don't like these numbers. I understand why they've done it. I understand they put the numbers there so that everyone knows where everything goes back in to keep it in order. But the thing is, if this is supposed to be representative of, you know, a mini version of someone's record rack with every Elvis album in during his lifetime, well, it's up to you what order you put them in. You know, there's no set, you know, some people might put them by year, some people might put them alphabetically, some people might lump all the soundtracks together and all the Camdens together and all the live. It's kind of up to you. So I'm not a fan of that. I think it ruins the look of them. Yeah, it shows it's a nice set, but I don't think it needed it. I think it should have delivered them to you in order without that on, and you know, let's face it, if you wanted to know what order they were released in, you've got it here in the book. So you could always work it out. So I wouldn't have done that. I'd have left the numbers off. I'd have left those 3 extras albums and put the other ones in. But other than that, there's not... Oh, there is one little thing that I can't work out why this happened. But in Clambake, so when you look at the bonus photos... Let's have a look at Memphis to Vegas, for instance. I've got the little sticker on there. You get the bonus photos as they were, and they're even in a nice matte finish. So every bonus photo in this version, and I don't know if this is just because it's a UK version or quite what the score is. You see, I can't really see it. My eyesight's so poor, I can't really see where that goes. Wait a minute. Must be going there. But what I don't get is clambake. So clambake has the hype sticker, and in actual fact, weirdly, this one's printed on there. It wasn't one of the extras in the pack, but there's no bonus photo. So the one that came with full colour photo inside this album of Elvis and Priscilla, specially autographed, it's not there. So you get every single other bonus photograph, but that's not. And as I say, I had a version of this before I sent it back that was damaged, and before I sent it back I'd had a good look at it, and there was no bonus photo in clambake. Now I'm pretty sure I've seen YouTube videos, maybe American ones, where they have got the bonus photo in clambake. So why it's missing from a set that I bought in the UK, 2 sets that I bought in the UK, is a puzzle. I'm not sure. So, that it would have been nice if it was complete, and it isn't quite. But, they split in hairs, tiny little gripes aside. Overall, if you want a nice compact overview of every album released during Elvis's lifetime, if you want it in great sound, if you want it to have really nice replicas of each of those sleeves with the stickers that came on them, with the bonus photos and what have you, apart from one in this case, you tell me how they could do it any better. The couple of gripes I've got, the couple of releases I'd have put in and ones I'd have missed, the numbering on the bottom are just tiny. This is fantastic. It really is the best box set, and I'm going to say box set in general. I'm not just going to restrict it to CDs. This is the best Elvis Presley box set that has ever been released. Yeah, we've had some great ones. We've had some fantastic ones, but nothing has the scope. Nothing has the reach. Nothing has the sound of this one. If you were lucky enough to get the complete masters, and I'm talking about the expensive big box, you've got yourself a fantastic release, and that of course goes in order of recording from the beginning to the end of Elvis's career. This one sounds as good. I know it sounds as good because it's those 2007 masters. It breaks it up into the albums as they came out at the time, and this was a fraction of the cost of the other. So as great as the other one is, and I know that has a superb luxury book with it, which this can't compete with, but as a mass market release, as something that was expensive, there's no doubt about it, but you think about it, what you're getting. If let's say we charge £5 per disc, that's £300 worth, and it wasn't that much at retail to start with. So you were probably getting your disc, as I say, I'm sure I paid about 160. I want to say I'm not sure what it came out as, but that's what, £3 a disc, less than, for a release like this, presented like this. And you can't deny the convenience. It easily fits on a shelf. You can store it and have it in the box, or you can even store it like that and have it and just pull them out. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments, but to me, I don't see how that's ever going to be bettered. I know there's some arguments made. The Japanese paper sleeve collection did a very similar thing, and I know that's got, you know, some pros and cons. You know, I think they probably end up coming out fairly equal in terms of what they deliver. But yeah, this really is absolutely phenomenal. I you know, if anyone you know, let's face it, you could give this to somebody that had just discovered Elvis, that had just maybe been to see the Baz Luhrmann movie, or maybe go to see the new Baz Luhrmann movie when it comes out, and develops an interest in Elvis, and say, there you go, it's all there. Or, you know, a starting point that will blow your mind. It's brilliant. I can't say enough in praise of it. Absolutely fantastic. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that it's the best ever? Do you think there are better? Do you think there are things that does that you're not particularly fond of? Did you pass on it? Did you get it? Did you get it when it first came out? Just as ever, let me know what you think. I can't sing its praises high enough. I think it's an absolutely awesome product, and yeah, I just think it's brilliant. So as ever, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you're able to join me next week. But until then, whatever you're doing, take care, everyone. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.